If you're a fan of spine-chilling thrills and hair-raising moments, you're in for a treat. Spooky movies have captivated audiences for decades, offering an irresistible blend of horror, suspense, and the unknown. From classic ghost stories to modern-day horrors, these films have the power to haunt our dreams long after the credits roll. Whether you're a seasoned horror aficionado or new to the genre, in this video you will see the top 10 spooky movies that will send shivers down your spine. Number 10. A Nightmare on Elm Street, 1984. Wes Craven's A Nightmare on Elm Street revolutionized the horror genre by blending supernatural terror with the vulnerability of sleep, introducing the world to one of horror's most iconic villains, Freddy Krueger. Freddy, with his burnt face, razor glove, and eerie sweater, isn't just any villain, he's a supernatural killer who haunts the dreams of teenagers, creating a horrifying situation where something inevitable and necessary becomes a death sentence. What makes A Nightmare on Elm Street stand out from other slasher films is its unique premise of a killer who strikes in the dream world but whose attacks result in real-world consequences. Freddy's ability to blur the lines between reality and nightmares makes the dream sequences especially unsettling. These scenes are often disorienting and surreal, designed to keep the audience on edge, unsure of what is real and what is part of the nightmare. For instance, Freddy's first appearance in Tina's dream is one of the film's most memorable and disturbing moments. His grotesque figure stretches unnaturally, arms extended across an alley, creating a terrifying visual that plays on the warped logic of dreams. The film also showcases groundbreaking practical effects that, while dated by today's standards, were innovative at the time. One of the most iconic scenes features a young Johnny Depp in his first major film role. His character, Glenn, is pulled into his bed by Freddy, only for a fountain of blood to erupt from the mattress in a gruesome and surreal death scene. This moment cemented A Nightmare on Elm Street as a cult classic, forever etching Freddy Krueger into the nightmares of audiences worldwide. With a mix of psychological horror, supernatural elements, and creative death sequences, A Nightmare on Elm Street remains one of the most influential horror films ever made. Number 9. The Babadook, 2014. The Babadook isn't just a typical monster movie, it's a deeply psychological exploration of grief, depression, and the overwhelming pressures of motherhood. Directed by Jennifer Kent, the film follows Amelia, a single mother struggling to raise her troubled son, Samuel, while dealing with the unresolved grief over her husband's tragic death. As Amelia's emotional state deteriorates, a sinister figure, the Babadook, begins to manifest in their lives, blurring the lines between psychological and supernatural horror. The film's titular monster, the Babadook, first appears in a creepy pop-up book that Samuel finds, which recounts the arrival of the creature and its destructive intentions. The book's disturbing illustrations and sinister rhymes set the tone for the Babadook's gradual infiltration into their home. As the story progresses, the Babadook's presence becomes increasingly menacing, mirroring Amelia's spiraling mental state. Its appearances are marked by shadowy movements and terrifying sounds that build an atmosphere of paranoia and dread. However, the real terror in the Babadook lies not in jump scares, but in its exploration of Amelia's emotional unraveling. The Babadook becomes a metaphor for the unresolved trauma that Amelia refuses to confront. The creature's influence grows stronger as Amelia becomes more isolated and consumed by her grief. One of the most powerful moments in the film is when the Babadook's monstrous presence fully takes hold of Amelia, transforming her into a terrifying, unstable version of herself. The film's conclusion, where Amelia confronts and ultimately gains control over the Babadook, is a hauntingly ambiguous resolution that suggests grief never truly goes away, but can be managed. The Babadook is a deeply affecting film that uses horror to delve into the complexities of mental health, making it a standout in modern horror. Number 8. It Follows, 2014. It Follows is a refreshingly original take on the horror genre, using a simple yet profoundly effective premise to create an atmosphere of relentless dread. The film centers around Jay, a young woman who is pursued by a mysterious, shape-shifting entity that relentlessly follows her after a sexual encounter. The rules of the entity are terrifying in their simplicity. It will continue to follow her at a slow but steady pace until it catches and kills her, unless she passes the curse on to someone else. What makes It Follow so unsettling is the entity's persistence. Unlike typical horror villains, the entity doesn't chase its victims with sudden speed or aggression. Instead, it slowly walks towards them, taking on the form of any person, whether it be a stranger or a loved one. This creates a constant sense of paranoia, as the entity could appear anywhere at any time. One of the film's most terrifying scenes occurs at a beach, where Jay and her friends are relaxing, unaware that the entity has quietly closed in on them. The suspense builds as only Jay can see it, a figure slowly walking toward her in the background. The final showdown in an abandoned swimming pool is equally nerve-wracking. Jay and her friends attempt to trap the entity, but its resilience and unpredictability keep the tension high until the very end. The film's ending is purposefully ambiguous, leaving the audience with a lingering sense of unease, as the entity may still be following Jay. It follows brilliantly plays on primal fears of being hunted and never truly feeling safe, making it one of the most unique and memorable horror films in recent years. Number 7. Paranormal Activity 2007. Paranormal Activity took the found footage horror genre to new heights, proving that less can indeed be more when it comes to scares. Directed by Oren Peli, the film's low-budget, minimalist approach only adds to its terrifying realism. Shot as a series of home videos, Paranormal Activity follows a couple, Katie and Micah, as they attempt to document the increasingly eerie occurrences in their home, which they believe are caused by a demonic presence. The film's tension builds gradually, with small, unsettling events escalating into full-blown terror. The use of static, long takes particularly of the couple sleeping creates an eerie sense of anticipation, as the audience knows something is going to happen but doesn't know when. One of the most nerve-wracking scenes is when Katie is dragged out of bed by an invisible force, leaving both her and the audience in shock. The simplicity of the scene, no elaborate effects, just raw terror, makes it incredibly effective. The final scene, where the demonic presence fully takes over Katie, is a heart-stopping conclusion that leaves the audience with a feeling of helplessness and dread. The film's success lies in its ability to make the audience believe that what they are seeing could happen in real life, tapping into the fear of the unknown and unseen. Paranormal Activity not only redefined found footage horror, but also became a cultural phenomenon, spawning numerous sequels and cementing its place in horror history. Number 6. The Ring 2002. The Ring, directed by Gore Verbinski, is a remake of the Japanese horror classic Ringu and introduces a new level of terror through its haunting, atmospheric storytelling. The film revolves around a cursed videotape that brings death to anyone who watches it within 7 days. The tape itself is filled with disturbing and surreal imagery, unnerving images of a well, a ladder, a woman combing her hair, and more, all of which hint at a dark backstory that the protagonist, Rachel, must unravel to save her own life. The most chilling aspect of The Ring is the sense of inevitable doom that pervades the film. After watching the tape, viewers receive a phone call telling them they have 7 days to live, setting in motion a countdown that builds relentless tension. As Rachel investigates the origins of the tape, the story becomes more disturbing, centering around a girl named Samara who possesses malevolent psychic abilities. Samara's story is tragic yet terrifying, culminating in one of the most iconic scenes in horror history, her emergence from a television screen. This moment, where Samara crawls out of the TV to claim her victim, is a masterful blend of special effects and pure horror. It defies the audience's expectations and lingers in the mind long after the film ends. The unsettling visuals, combined with the film's sense of impending dread, make The Ring a standout in early 2000s horror and one of the scariest films of its time. Number 5. Halloween, 1978. John Carpenter's Halloween introduced the world to Michael Myers, one of the most iconic figures in horror cinema. The sense of dread that permeates the film stems from Michael's eerie, slow-paced stalking of his victims, a methodical predator who remains silent but deadly. From the chilling opening sequence where young Michael commits his first murder, to the intense final moments as Laurie Strode fights for her life, Halloween is a masterclass in sustained suspense and remains a staple of Halloween viewing for horror fans everywhere. Number 4. The Conjuring 2013. The Conjuring is based on the true story of paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren, who are called to help a family plagued by a malevolent spirit in their Rhode Island farmhouse. The film delivers heart-stopping scares, particularly in the tension-filled hide and clap scene, where the ghost's presence is felt through eerie sound rather than jump scares. Lorraine Warren's vision of the hanging ghost adds another layer of terror, while the intense exorcism sequence toward the film's climax makes it clear why The Conjuring is one of the scariest supernatural films of the decade. Number 3. The Shining 1980. Stanley Kubrick's The Shining is a psychological horror classic adapted from Stephen King's novel. Set in the isolated Overlook Hotel, the story follows Jack Nicholson, an aspiring writer who slowly descends into madness as the hotel's sinister past takes hold of him. The unsettling atmosphere reaches its peak in iconic scenes like the moment Jack smashes through the bathroom door, uttering the unforgettable line, "Here's Johnny." The disturbing visions of the twin girls in the hallway and the horrific reveal of room 237 are moments that elevate the film from a standard ghost story to a deeply disturbing psychological thriller. Number 2. Hereditary 2018. Ari Aster's Hereditary is a modern horror masterpiece that explores family trauma and the supernatural with unnerving precision. After the death of her secretive mother, Annie Graham, played by Toni Collette, begins to unravel disturbing truths about her family's lineage. The film builds a slow, burning sense of dread, particularly in scenes such as the shocking decapitation of Annie's daughter, which leaves both the audience and the characters in stunned silence. Colette's harrowing performance during a dinner table confrontation is another deeply unsettling moment, and the film's ritualistic, demonic finale is a terrifying conclusion that haunts long after the credits roll. Number 1. The Exorcist 1973. Few horror films have had the cultural impact of The Exorcist. Based on the novel by William Peter Blatty, this movie centers around the terrifying possession of 12-year-old Regan McNeil and the desperate attempts of her mother and two priests to save her soul. The film's atmosphere is relentlessly dark, with tension building through chilling visuals and eerie sound design. The terrifying depiction of demonic possession left audiences reeling, with many reporting fainting or vomiting during its screenings. The film's most bone-chilling moments come in the form of Regan's spider walk down the staircase, her unsettling, guttural voice as the demon takes over, and the intense final showdown between the priests and the demonic entity, making this one of the most iconic horror films of all time. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button to join our spooky-loving community. And of course, ring the notification bell so you don't miss our next creepy countdown or terrifying tales. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay safe, stay spooky, and remember, don't watch these movies alone. See you in the next one.